Everybody good? We all ready? Make it a little better to hear.
Yeah, let me just click this. Sorry.
Just don't knock everything down. That would not be good. And just so everybody knows, this is most likely going to be the last presser from here for the day. I'll give you as much information as I can. And we've obviously grown a little bit, so as we get done, I will try to do individuals if you need that. Remember, there's a bunch of you here, so just kind of be patient, if you will. Are there people that have not been here before that don't know the entire story? I'm guessing everybody's got a pretty good. I'll give a brief recap, and then I'll tell you the update from today, and then I'll give you an opportunity to ask questions. What I would ask that we all do is let me call on you for the questions. Don't everybody shout at me. Let me call on you, and then I will repeat the question so everybody hears the question. You may have to remind me to repeat the question as we're going. Good enough? All right. Yesterday afternoon, shortly after 12 o'clock p.m., we had officers, 18 individual officers, including command staff, that was here on scene at Twin Peaks. That contingent of our officers included an assistant chief, it included sergeants, it included tactical officers, as well as a rookie officer. We also had 4 DPS officers, Texas Department of Public Safety officers, that were here with us. And I've said it, and I will say it again. Those officers' reactions and their action to a very hostile, deadly situation saved our citizens' lives yesterday afternoon. We knew there were issues here at the Twin Peaks based on intel that we received about biker gangs being here. We've been here over the past 2 months because of the problems that we've had with biker gangs at Twin Peaks. I won't rehash the issues that we've had with management. You're all aware of that. We'll let the chips fall where they may on that, and they have some answering not only to do to y'all, but to our community as well. I can tell you, as they were here on scene watching for trouble, a disturbance erupted inside the restaurant. It started in the restroom, quickly escalated to the outdoor patio bar area. Shots were fired inside the restaurant by rival biker gang members at each other. We had wounded inside, we had people stabbed, we had people shot, and we had people beat. That disturbance moved into the parking lot very quickly. Our officers responded very quickly and appropriately. As we pulled up on scene, the shooting at individual bikers from bikers turned towards us. Our officers took fire and responded appropriately returning fire. The number of shots, who shot who, and all of that will be part of our investigative process. It won't be released right away. I can tell you we had 18 Waco officers and 4 DPS officers that were here on scene and were involved in a gunfight within a matter of seconds from the initial indication there was a disturbance inside. Those officers quickly gained control of a very violent scene and proned out or took numerous biker individuals into temporary custody. They called for additional backup, and we had numerous law enforcement agencies that responded to assist. If you can name an agency in McLennan County, they were here with us yesterday. That includes local, state, federal, and county officers. We had counties from our neighboring counties have assisted us as well in this entire investigation. All of those agencies are still here today and are still providing manpower and support to us. To that, we are extremely thankful for that. We've had a huge outpouring of support by our community, by our business members, and by our citizens. whether it was bringing officers, whether it was bringing officers water or food, or sending us prayers via email or our Facebook or personal messages to the individual officers here. We are proud of our Waco community. And make no mistake about it, we are here to serve and protect them, and that happened yesterday with a huge contingent of law enforcement officers. Once we were able to get the scene under control, I mentioned to some of you that we had off-duty officers that were here shopping. Those officers responded as well, putting themselves in harm's way, even without the proper equipment to protect themselves. They saw officers and citizens in need, and they didn't second guess. They came straight to us and helped. We had officers coming in from off-duty, trying to provide support that they could. We had businesses bringing us items as we were here all throughout the night. Once we got the scene under control, we called in some various organizations to assist us with transport. We took over 170 individuals to our convention center where they were detained, and the investigation continued there. We had another large contingent of officers providing security at our convention center as we had threats for that area as well. I will tell you that area has now cleared. The convention center is no longer a processing center for us for individuals that we had detained. There is a lot of work yet to be done. I said initially this morning that we had arrested 192. I am correcting that number. It is a little bit lower. At last count, we have 170 individuals that we have arrested and are booking or have been booked into the McLennan County Jail. Those individuals are being charged with engaging in organized crime in reference to the shooting at Twin Peaks, which is a capital murder. It's a capital murder because of the number of victims that were killed in one episode here. Those individuals have all been transported. It will be a little bit of a process, obviously a little bit of a logistical process for the county to get them all booked in. You can obtain mugshots through McLennan County SO. I would assume at some point that they will release an entire list of names of individuals that are being booked in as well. The scene behind us today is pretty secure. I think y'all that were here last night with us and throughout the day saw a huge contingent of officers. You still see that today. There earlier were officers up on top of Twin Peaks providing security. I had some individuals were asking me, why is there officers up on the overpasses? They were providing security so we didn't have people having high ground on us. That has been started to slow down a little bit. We feel a little more secure here. This parking lot is still secure for only media and law enforcement personnel only. There still is a large contingent of SWAT officers here on scene providing protection for you all and providing protection for the detectives that are still processing the scene. All right, what's going on now? We are continuing to process a lot of evidence from our crime scene. I just talked to our crime scene sergeant, the unit supervisor. He has told me that we are using various agencies and their equipment as well as ours. We are in the process of diagramming every piece of evidence, every vehicle, every blood spot, every body that was there. The bodies have all been removed and sent away for forensics and for autopsy results. Our crime scene unit is working with the FBI, with ATF, with DPS, with all of the local organizations. And at this point, what they'll do is they're going to go through piece by piece and process evidence in that scene. They're working on the diagramming part of that now, which means if there's a bullet here, they diagram it and they measure it. If there's a blood splatter 3 feet away, they diagram and measure it. Obviously, that's going to take a while. They told me once that process is done, they're going to start towing vehicles away from the scene. There are probably 100+ motorcycles that are involved in this. There are probably another 50 to 75 private vehicles that are involved in that. Some of those are suspect vehicles. Some of those are biker member vehicles. And some of them will be towed for evidence, and some of them will remain here as seen as they are not evidence value to us. You'll see that start at some point later in the afternoon. I asked the crime scene sergeant for a time on how long he thought we would be here today. His best guess that he could give us was we will be here till dark processing that scene still. I think at some point this evening we may be able to move away from that and we'll have gathered everything we can. Again, we're not in a rush. This is our scene, it's secure. We'll take the necessary time. We don't want to miss anything. This is obviously a very large investigation involving numerous agencies and organizations, and we're going to get it right. The McLennan County District Attorney Office was here early on yesterday. TABC was here early on yesterday, and those individuals have been instrumental in helping us obtain warrants and arrest 170 individuals. That is the count that I had as of coming up here to brief you. That number is going to be flexible. You have to understand that we had a large amount of people being processed and involved. Some of those names were the same last names, so that will give and take a minute amount. TABC has informed us that they have developed had the process implemented here where there is a 7-day shutdown of Twin Peaks for liquor sales. Somebody asked me earlier if they would be open to the general public. They will be open for food sales. I hope that they have the courtesy and respect for our citizens and the dead individuals there, that they will use this as a cooling off period and not be open for business. That is not our call. It is our desire they do that. It will be up to the management here whether they do that or not. We can tell you that they will not be allowed to have any liquor sales, and they will not be allowed to move any liquor in or out of that establishment for 7 days. TABC will continue their investigation, and additional things may be applicable as they go through their process. You will have to contact them for additional information on what they may or may not do. All right? We without a doubt, we want to make sure that we mention the media assistance that we had here yesterday was very good in getting information out quickly to our public. There was a significant danger here yesterday because of the amount of violence that occurred behind us here. We got word out through the media, who shared that with their public, their viewers, their readers, their Twitter and Facebook followers, and we started evacuating people from an entire mall, outdoor mall shopping area in a very short amount of time. A lot of that was contributed to what y'all did. The law enforcement presence that we've had here today has been, we just can't brag on it enough. We have folks that are providing us whatever we need, whether it's resources, manpower, equipment, or just helping us out with mundane tasks such as providing water or running intel back and forth from the scene. I think that kind of brings us up to date. You won't see a whole lot more here from the scene today other than the towing of vehicles. This will most likely be my last presser from here. I would ask, if I don't have you on my mail out list for press releases, if you will go on our Facebook page, you will get the press releases there that are the same ones going out to my local media that I have their emails for. It will be difficult for me to try to get everybody's email, so if I don't have you already, keep up with my Facebook. Sometimes you will get that faster than it goes to the email folks. All right? Again, at this point, I think that catches us up on everything here, and I'm going to start and work this way with questions, and I will try to repeat the questions as we go. Yes, sir.
Jim with ABC. Can you just try, and I know that the semantics of who shot who when, but can you just give us a timeline about when the brawl took place in the bathroom, when the first shot was delivered by the suspects, and possibly the last shot that law enforcement sent to stop this?
Okay. His question is, can I give a timeline on the shots fired inside the business from the biker gang members and then from law enforcement? I will tell you it happened very fast. Can I give you specific timelines? No, sir. I can tell you that we were there within seconds. Seconds meaning within probably 30, 45 seconds, we were on scene and responding, trying to protect ourselves and citizens. I'm moving around. Yes, sir.
Some of these gangs have put a green light on the lives of police officers. What are you doing to keep yourself safe while you're trying to keep this area secure?
You see the contingent of officers behind us. What you're not seeing because you're here is the officers that are on outer perimeter. We have layers here, if you will, of protection. The first layer is our patrol officers. They're out there on the outer perimeter watching. And then the inside layer is officers that are milling around through parking lots. The tactical officers that are here behind me, and those include lots of various organizations. His question was, what are we doing to protect everybody here? Layers of protection, numerous officers still here. Yes, there was a green light put out on law enforcement is our understanding from last night. We're aware of that threat, and we have the appropriate response if we have to face that. Chris.
Can you speak at all to which gangs these arrests come from? I mean, a lot of different moving pieces here. Do you have a breakdown of which gangs?
I do. I will tell you this. We have 5 known gangs that were involved here. I am not about to give them the respect of mentioning their names. You will not hear that from Waco Police Department. We don't care what their names are, and we're not going to give them publicity. I will tell you there are 5 active bike gang members that were involved in this. You won't hear their name from us here today, nor will you throughout the remainder of this investigation. Yes, sir.
You mentioned 170 arrested for organized crime. Then you mentioned this is a capital murder because of the amount of people killed. Is there any way to get a sense of what those 170 will also be charged with? And can you guys figure out who ultimately killed who?
The question, walk me back through this. The question was,
what other charges could they potentially face besides organized crime? Can you charge everybody with capital murder?
170 individuals have been charged with engaging in organized crime in reference to a capital murder case at Twin Peaks. That basically says that 170 people have been involved in capital murder. The DA would probably be better able to answer those legal questions on that, but I can tell you 170 individuals are being booked and processed, if that's not already complete, for engaging in organized crime. That organized crime is capital murder at the Twin Peaks restaurant. Was there another part of that I missed?
Just trying to, will you be able to decipher who shot who and would they face more severe charges or is that organized crime?
Obviously, the investigation will continue. There are a lot of parts to it. Will we glean more information as the days and weeks come through? Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Where were the bodies found? Who shot where?
Scattered everywhere. I can tell you the shooting started inside. The majority of bodies, when I did my walkthrough yesterday, I know that there were at least 3 dead individuals in the immediate parking lot directly behind us. It's my understanding another 4 were around the front of Twin Peaks, and then an additional victim had been drug over behind the other restaurant behind us. So the bodies that were still here were all scattered around the Twin Peaks perimeter.
So mainly outside?
Yes, ma'am. Olivia.
Yesterday there was an influx, y'all were receiving intel that there was going to be an influx of bikers coming into town as a result of this. Have y'all seen that today?
Absolutely, we saw it last night. That has slowed down. We have not seen as much activity today coming into the Waco area. We did see a heavy presence of bikers coming into Waco yesterday. It was our intelligence that told us they were headed this way and were trying to get some payback, whether it was against us or rival bike members. We don't know. We considered that a reliable threat, took the appropriate actions, and I can confirm that there were numerous members of other bike gangs that were coming here as well. Yes, ma'am.
The initial officers that were inside, the Waco officers along with 4 GPS, were they in uniform?
Yes, ma'am. The question was, were the initial officers that responded, were they in uniform? Yes, they were. These were officers that were in full dress uniform. There were some that were in tactical garb as far as the large vest. well-marked police. No doubt about it that they were officers. When they came in, they were in marked units as well. Some of the marked units that are up there still have bullet holes in them. Some of them were what we call our ghost marked units, which were subdued units.
So how did this even go down with that much? I guess I was always under the impression they were undercover, but they were out there and this all still happened. Can you kind of speak to the nature of why?
Yeah, these officers were not undercover. We wanted our presence to be known by the bikers that were here. There was no doubt they knew we were out here. That was a large contingent of officers in police vehicles sitting, driving, going through the parking lot. We were well seen. I said yesterday or earlier this morning, they could care less whether we were here or not. That's the violence that we were dealing with yesterday. They knew we were seconds away and were going to respond. It mattered not to them. They were still killing individuals and then turned their gunfire at us when we got here.
Were any officers inside? They were all outside the office?
Correct, they were all outside. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, we have received reports that the franchise has been revoked by the National. Do you have any reaction to that?
I don't. I have not heard that, and I can't confirm that.
My other question is that we'd also received reports that this was a Confederation meeting, a planned meeting that had been scheduled of some of these gangs that we're not going to name. But so, can you say anything about you all are working with DPS? Is anything going to be done statewide to sort of prevent something like this from happening again, since these meetings are planned, so people know about them?
No, I can tell you this has all been shared statewide. We have a great intelligence officer here. That was the reason we had a SWAT team here yesterday morning. We knew that. We knew the chance for violence was significant. We share that information with our local agencies and with our county agencies. There has been a heavy increase of that over the past couple of months because of the activity here. The question was, are we sharing intel? Absolutely. Will we continue to share that intel? Without a doubt, we
What do you
will.
think other communities
Yes,
can learn
sir.
from this?
Were all the bikers that were here yesterday?
I will get back to that.
From the
Thank you,
Central Texas area, I saw that some were from East Texas, or do you know the breakdown of where everyone's from?
Not yet. It's our understanding that they are local and they are far-reaching as well. I'm going to go back to that question. It's important we address this. What do we think other communities can learn from this? The first and most important lesson is if you have a police department asking for your assistance as a business, you ought to pay attention to that. If you don't, bad things can happen, as example here today. Number two is that Waco Police Department and the local agencies around here did a hell of a job in a response to a very critical, deadly scene. And I can't say that enough and tout their efforts enough. The sharing of intelligence from local agencies, the movements by the operators that moved up into an active shooter scene were incredible. The amount of officers that were off duty and coming to help, that touts and speaks volumes for our community and what our officers will do to protect them. For a community, one thing that we want them to know is Waco, you are safe. You've got a good police force here, whether it's local, county, or state. You've got good officers here protecting you, and we're going to do what we can to do that. I think that pretty much that answers that. Obviously, we would ask for better assistance in these kind of situations and maybe head some of this off if possible. Yes, sir.
You talked about the numbers of arrests being fluid. Do you anticipate any more arrests as a direct result of this incident? And because of the number of agencies involved here, will Waco continue to be the lead agency?
Yes, sir. Waco is the lead agency on this. Will there be additional arrests? Most likely.
And you said
yes, sir.
Were the guns that were used yesterday, were they registered?
I don't have that information.
Those
Sir.
170, it's just engaging in organized crime. You mentioned capital murder, but that's only maybe later some.
The
right?
engaging in organized crime is from a capital murder event that occurred here.
Right.
That is the crime that occurred. The engaging in the organized crime is individuals participating in that.
How many might be charged with engaging, with capital murder? How many? Do you have any idea?
I don't have that idea.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, would you please tell us the real cause of the shooting last night? And also let us know
Okay, let me stop you. I didn't understand your first part.
Okay, tell us the real cause of the shooting last night. This is the first question. The second is, does the shooting between the local gangs take place very often in Waco? And what's the best way?
I got to
prevent
stop you
such
again, sir, because I can't understand you. Can anybody help me?
First, he asked what the real cause of the shooting was last night. I believe what the
All right,
motive was.
thank you. I'll stop you there. The real cause of the shooting last night was a criminal element intent on harming other individuals. The next part of that?
Does it take place very often in Waco?
Does it happen very often in Waco?
No. I will tell you, and I said earlier this morning, this is any town USA here today. This can happen in any state, any town across our United States. There is a criminal element across our world, unfortunately. Unfortunately for us, they chose to be here on a Sunday in Waco, Texas, and involve themselves in criminal activity and obviously murder, with 9 individuals being killed.
Okay, in your opinion, what's the best way to prevent such incidents in the future?
What's the best way to prevent such incidents in the future?
I don't know that I have an answer to that, sir, to be honest with you.
Do you have any suggestions?
Certainly cooperate with local law enforcement. There are a lot of really, really good businesses here in Waco. There are a lot of really, really good people here in Waco. We have a very good cooperative spirit with our community. It was unfortunate we didn't necessarily have that with a particular business yesterday, and it absolutely had some bearing on what occurred here yesterday. Yes, ma'am.
Back to his question about the cause, the motive, you mentioned you believe it could be possible it was turf-related and recruitment-related, is that correct?
Certainly things we're looking at. Turf-related, people kind of coming in saying this is our territory, others saying no, it's not. Some of it could have been recruitment for gangs as well. That's all part of the process. Our general idea believes us to lead that way, that's what most of it was over. Yes, ma'am.
How far in advance did Twin Peaks know about you guys
Okay, can you hear me, Melinda?
How far in advance were they aware that this was happening?
They're not being charged. No
We've been here for 2 months trying to deal with issues here. Yes, ma'am. I'll come back, sir.
There's been an ongoing dispute between some local police agencies, the U.S. Marshals, and these motorcycle, they call themselves clubs across the country.
Okay.
Where they say it's been this, they're just trying to go to an establishment to have meetings. They post them on the internet. What do you say to that argument when they say they're just clubs and they're just trying to have meetings in public establishments?
I absolutely disagree with that. This is a criminal element that came in here yesterday and killed people. They're not here to drink beer and eat barbecue. They came with violence in mind, and we're ready for it. I think you can see by the number of weapons that we have recovered from here today, they didn't come here to eat and have a good time with their family. They came here for a reason. We think part of that reason was a criminal activity.
If you were
Yes, sir.
On that list of weapons, can you tell us specifically which weapons that your investigators have recovered? And can you quantify how many rounds actually were going around?
Two-part question, what kind of weapons? Everything from brass knucks, chains, clubs, knives, firearms. Handguns? Can I quantify a number of shots from each of those? No, sir, not at this point.
If you were at a
Yes, sir.
Out of those 9 dead, how many were innocent bystanders? Nobody?
None. They were all involved bike gang members of several different gangs. Again, you will not hear names of those gangs come from Waco PD.
If you were with
Yes, ma'am.
sir, were all that type of variety used?
One more time.
Of the weapons you mentioned, the chains.
Absolutely.
Every single one, all of those.
And I don't think I've talked about the injured. We had 18 injured that were taken to our local hospitals. When I talked to the administration there at the hospitals yesterday, they told me they had victims that had gunshots, and they had victims that had stab wounds, and they had victims that had both. There were also blunt force trauma as well from being involved in fights and skirmishes. Yes, ma'am.
If you were with your family in a restaurant just eating, and you saw that there was a big biker gang contingency, is that a place that you would stay with your family?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, part of that is because I've been a police officer for 34 years and I'm a little leery of folks. I'm especially leery of people that are wearing biker colors and are in known criminal gangs. That was very obvious. If you looked at these individuals yesterday, you would have known that these are people you don't want to be around, and you sure don't want your family around them either.
What would you tell people with families who are in a restaurant and you see a big biker gang come in?
Biker gang like this, I would tell them to leave. I will tell you myself, I would leave. I'd get up from a table and I would leave that establishment in a heartbeat. Yes, ma'am.
Do you anticipate identifying the 9
later, I think is, yeah, I
But
can't give you a
maybe,
time.
sir, we don't know.
No, ma'am, I don't know.
Probably
Olivia?
not today.
Probably not today. Yes, ma'am. Olivia?
No, it's
Outside of
okay. You can keep it.
identifying which gangs they were, do y'all have any idea
Oh,
now
okay.
that
You can kill it
kind
then.
of
Kill
sorted
it.
through
Kill
some
it.
of the evidence,
Kill it.
what the makeup was like of the dead, if all of them were from the same gang, if they were equally split among the five?
No, I can tell you that those victims that were killed, we believe, were two of the number of gangs that were involved. Meaning that we know we had 5 different gangs. Those that were shot and killed or have been deceased, we know that those 9 individuals came from 2 separate gangs of those 5. Yes, ma'am.
Besides the layers of
Well,
law
Steve,
enforcement
Sergeant
that are handling
Patrick
this
Swanton
particular-
with the
besides
Waco
law
Police
enforcement
is
that's
just
handling this particular
coming to
scene,
the end,
what
wrapping
else
up
is being done
his
outside
latest
of your
update
detention
for the
lens
news
on
media.
law
Still
enforcement?
lots
I
of
doubt they come
activity
back
at
here, so
this
what's
restaurant
the plan
location
as
a full
it's attacked
24
right now?
hours after.
The question, what are we doing beyond the scene? We have a large response of officers that are working and are available to respond at a moment's notice. Assets are not a problem for us, I assure you. Yes, sir.
Point of clarification, you said you've been dealing with this issue for 2 months. Is it in anticipation of yesterday, or has this contingent of folks showed up repeatedly at Twin Peaks?
They've showed up repeatedly over 2 months and have been here. We've had a little bit of issue out of them, some arrests for warrants, things like that, minor skirmishes. But that's happened over a 2-month period at this particular establishment.
So what was different about yesterday that gave you confidence more than the skirmish?
What was different about yesterday that
That gave officers a sense that a skirmish could occur, or have y'all had the same police contingent out every time these gangs have been here?
we had particular intelligence yesterday that there was going to be an even worse group of individuals here yesterday. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I was wondering about the jail processing. We know that we have problems here at the Clinton County Jail with overcrowding and things like that. Are all of them going into the Clinton County Jail, or are neighboring jails taking people?
It's my understanding they will all be booked into McLennan County Jail initially. I don't know if they'll move some at that point. That would be a question better for the sheriff
Are they
department.
separating them at the jail facility now?
I would imagine that, but I would imagine, yes, but again, something I'd ask you to check with SO on. Yes, ma'am.
Were any of the dead bodies inside? I know you talked about mostly outside.
It's my understanding they were all outside. The shooting occurred inside. Let me make sure everybody understands how real life works. A lot of times you see in movies somebody gets shot and they immediately fall to the ground. That is not real life. Real life is it hurts when you get hit. Typically you want to get away from that. So we know that as people were inside being shot at, they were hit, and then they left the establishment trying to get away and then collapsed outside. There were some that ran around to the back. There are many more that ran around to the front and some to the side. When I got there yesterday, there were individuals that were deceased and they were scattered throughout the parking lot. Some pretty significant woundage on those individuals. Yes, sir. Adam?
Has had ongoing and positive communication with the police. We will continue to work with them.
The question was the gunfire from the officers. Do we know if that led to the ultimate demise of individuals here? We don't know that yet. We certainly shot at some that were shooting at us. That is part of the autopsy results and forensics that will give us that information. Yes, ma'am.
This morning, Texas Alcohol Beverage Control, Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission announced that the liquor license for this
A little more help. I couldn't hear you because of side noise.
So do you has at least one of the five gangs known that are involved as known drug traffickers? Can you talk about was there any drugs found at the scene? Were there any drugs?
Not that I'm aware of at this point, but there's a lot of evidence there. I can just tell you, I can testify about the weapons that I saw up there or report to you that. I don't know of any other things that were found on the scene. Yes, ma'am. I'll get to you, Chris.
Did you mention what kind of weapons?
Handguns, clubs, chains, brass knuckles, and knives. Chris.
Last night at the convention center, we saw a couple people taken back out in ambulances. Any word on what that was about? Lingering injuries?
I was told that there were some that were taken out of the convention center last night for minor medical unrelated to the violence that occurred here. Catch everybody?
You mentioned that a body had been dragged out or something had been dragged
Yes, sir.
away.
Hang on. Gotcha. Thank you. One more time.
You said that the bodies you said appeared to have been
Well, I don't know. I know that it was moved as it was apparently trying to get, my guess would be it was his buddies trying to help get him out of there, but who moved him, I don't know. All right, I think one more and that's it.
Can you please be specific about what the police department asked of the local management and what their response was?
No, other than we asked for assistance to keep this from happening and we didn't get that. All right, thank you all for your cooperation. I will ask you again, just kind of keep up with us on Facebook. I don't think you're going to see much more from this today as far as different information. Anything that does occur, I will put out on a press release or our Facebook page, so you will get it that way. And other than that, as far as movement that you'll see from here today will be the towing of vehicles and the collection of evidence. Thanks, everybody. I've got somebody's microphone if you will come get it.
What's the Facebook page?
Facebook Waco Police Department.
Do you have a second for a quick one-on-one?
Sergeant, where can I write my
Whose
email?
mic do I have?
Where can I give you my email?
Sir, honestly, I don't have time to take it. If you'll just
Later.
Yeah.
Microphone.
Microphone.
So some of the other folks are
Okay.
some of the other folks are reporting that the police contacted